Hey everyone, I wanted to share a little with you about a program I went through called the 21-Day Nervous System Tuneup by a woman named Irene Lyon. She's a lot more well known than I am on YouTube, but there's a chance you might not come across her in the world that I kind of operate in here with a lot of, tapping, EFT, and meditation, and this whole subject of the nervous system and the way she presents it. There's some things about it that I think are going to be very relevant and useful to a lot of you here. And so I wanted to kind of share my thoughts and let you know about this program. I have no affiliation with Irene. I don't work for her. I don't have an affiliate link to her program. If, full disclosure, she ever has one in the future, I probably would get one because I think it's a very good program, but just so you know, that's not where this is coming from. So I have a couple notes here just to keep myself on track with this. So this program, it's an online course. So, you hear like nervous system tune-up, and there's so much information out there now, like devices to put on your vagus nerve and all this stuff. So this 21-day nervous system tune-up thing, it's a course. It's an online course. You buy and you have lifetime access to the videos and the audios and the lessons. And it's 21 days, so it's like 21 modules. But it's self-paced, so I guess the idea is to do one a day. I spread them out more than that. I did some for a couple days, and then, I couldn't get to it one day. So you have access to all of it, but it's designed in that way to be 21 days of education or work, right? So educational videos teaching you about the nervous system, and then these neurosensory exercises, which is a really interesting thing I'm going to talk about, especially for those of you doing, emotional work, which is obviously people watching this channel. It's $297 right now. I've seen it on sale sometimes, so just sort of so you know how that is. So it's like education about the nervous system plus exercises, but it's serving a purpose. It's not just sort of like a textbook or generalized course about, these are the nerves or this is the nervous system, right? It's really for the whole world of, regulation, processing emotions, connection to your body, and how trauma is stored, building capacity to actually work with this stuff in the nervous system. That's where it's coming from. So it's linked to this world of emotional healing and body healing. And I'd say it's for anyone who's interested in this connection with stress, trauma, etc., with the body and how our emotions are affecting our lives and how our body is actually storing, emotion and past experiences and trauma. That's becoming popularized, which is great. You might have been reading like some of Gabor Mate's books or like The Body Keeps the Score. I'm hearing more people, even people that I'm like working with, they're like familiar with these books, but you want sort of a context and okay, well, what do I actually do about it? Like this program is more in that world, but it's like information and tactics or exercises that are taking that sort of ideology and giving you things to actually do with it. So you understand how the system works and how to work with it. And I'd say if you're on this healing path, you're doing a lot of emotional and spiritual type of work, but you have little knowledge about the nervous system or why it matters. This is very common. This includes me, right? Luckily, the EFT certification I completed was pretty intensive and required a lot of study and learning about the actual body, the nervous system, what's actually happening. But a lot of us in this space, and again, this was me, not that many years ago, had very little. Nervous system was sort of this abstract thing. It might get mentioned every once in a while, or hey, this breathing or this tapping is like good for your vagus nerve or good for the nervous system. But everything is just sort of about, doing the technique, visualize more, meditate more, tap more, and it's just supposed to do whatever it's supposed to do. It can be very mystical in our space, right? So if you have little knowledge about any of the nervous system stuff and why it's actually relevant, if things are plateauing or not working for you, I get a lot of comments on my channel about people who are, of course, watching videos, tapping along, and have a feeling like, I'm not getting a lot of results or tapping doesn't seem to do anything. I am definitely not one of those people who thinks these techniques like tapping or meditation or breath work are like magic. They're just going to work for anyone. And this nervous system piece can be really, really important, especially if you're someone who feels like there's a lot of trauma and even this stuff is too intense or just not working for you or plateauing. I would start looking in this direction. Whether it's this course, she's actually a pretty good binge watch on YouTube. So you can get a lot of this information or a lot of her background and nervous system information without actually buying this course. Or if your results are mixed, confusing, or overwhelming, right? You do occasional some meditation. You're kind of in this meditative or spiritual stuff, and like one day I feel great, and then things come crashing down. Again, in that world, you're going to get often very mixed and confusing feedback, like, oh, that's just your ego, or that's just, you just have to keep being the witness. And there's not a lot of solid grounding foundation, right? This is the group I'm going to be speaking to. This is kind of where I have experience, right? So why this stuff is important is what I'm saying here about a lot of the information you get is very, I don't know, spiritual sounding, mystical sounding, right? You don't really have a lot of context, and you're often not given a lot of context. So the whole premise is that you're just sort of, quote unquote, processing your emotions or resolving my trauma by being really present with it. You hear all this different type of language, but as you start learning about the nervous system and the capacity and how this whole structure works, you start to respect more that, okay, processing trauma, things stored in the body, working with emotion, what you're able to be present with physically, emotionally, this is not all just sort of spiritual experience or how much tapping you've done. This is a system in the body. It's going to be very unique for each person, just like your, let's say, more obvious physical body. When it comes to your obvious physical body, what I mean by that is like going to the gym, doing exercise. That world is very obvious to see, where, for example, if you're not strong enough to lift or bench press 300 pounds, it's obvious you can't do that. So it's very unlikely you would go there and just keep trying. It's an example I use in my video about not re-traumatizing yourself. You wouldn't go into a gym and just keep trying to lift this 500-pound bench press. Your body gets super sore, so it feels like you've kind of done something, but you're actually not being productive in any way. It's way too much. A lot of people are doing the equivalent of that with their emotional work, but because it's a little more abstract, right? You don't necessarily realize that it's like a weight I can't carry, and you're getting all this conflicting advice, like you just got to dive into your emotions or just be present. As you start to understand how, the nervous system is actually storing these things and the body is storing these things, and there's fight, flight, or freeze, and we all know that as sort of a buzzword, but how it actually works in your system and what is required for that to be processed out of the system, you'll have a lot more respect and I think clarity for your own emotional work and why some of the things you're doing might be, plateauing, not working, right? It's a very good and I think very missing piece for a lot of us in this space, a lot of the people and the kind of comments I get. So that's kind of why I'm leaning into this and have been leaning more and more into this direction of just focusing on emotional healing and inner work and keeping it very as grounded and down to earth as I can. Right? So as gentle as I try to be with tapping and being, kind to yourself, understanding what you're working with is very valuable, and it's often overlooked. So just a little more about kind of what's in the course, so you can see if this is a direction you want to look in. I'd say the education part, like I said, it's a mixture of videos educating you, just straight up information. I found it to be really well presented and practical. So you're going to be hearing about these things, fight, flight, the vagus nerve, the branches of the vagus nerve, etc. But it's kind of all geared in this context of assuming you, like me, care about this because of actually, processing and moving forward and healing and living a better life. So it's not just textbook knowledge, right? There's a lot of illustration. There's examples of how if someone's not getting what they might need from their mother or their parents, how that practically translates and how things are stored in the body and the posture and how unprocessed survival stress, which is a great term she uses for trauma, how that manifests in the body and so on, and how working with the nervous system is relevant. You have a lot more of I would call it grounded perspective versus just like, buying a device to put on your vagus nerve to quote unquote stimulate it. It's like when you understand more, you sort of see through how that could possibly just heal everything for you, right? But there's the marketplace is rampant with this kind of idea. And honestly, a lot of the techniques I use and endorse, there are people out there and messaging out there that make the techniques into these magical things when that's not their purpose. They should be serving to help you on your path to actually growing capacity and healing. These things called neurosensory exercises, they're really gentle. They're often deceptively powerful, right? So these things like orienting to the space around you, just using your eyes, noticing details, noticing colors of things. That's something, I've learned to use prior to this to just kind of help people feel, grounded or to come back into the space. But as you learn more about these very, very gentle things, you realize how key they can be and can serve as a very good foundation for any type of inner work, emotional type work. You might want to check in, like I said, if things are overwhelming or not seeming graspable to you, they might be a little too advanced. And previously you might not have ever thought, like, well, how could just sitting there with your eyes closed and meditating be quote unquote advanced or too much? Well, absolutely it can, right? Any of these kind of techniques can be a lot for a nervous system, depending on the structure and what's going on for you. And you'll try to meditate, and every single time you are going to dissociate every single time because you don't have the resources there to actually be present with the stuff that's going to come up. Because Irene is a somatic practitioner too, there's a nice combination of Feldenkrais and these different exercises that I have some friends who are Feldenkrais practitioners, and I've always kind of on the periphery understood the importance of body and how trauma is stored in the body. But it's nice to be getting guidance from someone who's actually highly educated in that space and giving you very subtle things that can tune into your body and be quite effective in their own way without you having to, go see like a massage person or something. It's not like that, but engaging with the body is often a missing component, right? People watching videos like mine doing tappings or guided meditations, and there's no, body engagement. Like you might hear on a recording, like, okay, focus on your body, but it's different when you get into movement. And there was one exercise that I found kind of life-changing, and it was one of the longer exercises. And I remember just, standing outside doing it, listening to the audio, and it's pretty subtle things like noticing how your weight is shifted more to one side or another, some of the tendencies in your body, right? When a highlighter is put on these things, it can be very effective. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that and why I think this is an area to explore, whether it's with this course or not. Like I said, I completed it. I got a lot out of it. I found it, the thing for me with a course is like, the point of a good course is it takes stuff that, yeah, you probably could go learn these different aspects of the nervous system and somatic work and stuff, but to kind of have it all put together in a context for someone who's interested in emotional work and healing, this could be a very valuable resource. I really like how it put this all together in a package that is helpful. It was helpful to me, and like I said, I have a lot of knowledge in this space, but this is a different angle. Right, the going deeper into the nervous system is a newer thing. I think there's been more talk about it since the pandemic and the different symptoms people are having from things that are related. Right, that is making people's awareness of the health of the nervous system and how emotions and bodies and traumas all kind of interconnect. So if you have questions about it, like I said, from my experience going through it, I'm happy to answer, happy to share my thoughts. Her name is Irene Lyon. Like I said, she's much bigger than me on YouTube. There's a very good chance you know her. But if you're not, and this is all kind of intriguing to you, if this is speaking to you, I would definitely recommend, watching some of the videos and leaning into some of these ideas. So hope it helps, and I will see you next time.